If you didn't know, Donald Trump has already won the war with Iran like 15 times by now. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but he won it so big that Iran is now begging him to negotiate, right? Even though their officials say that's just straight up not true. So yeah, it's pretty important for Trump to clean up his mess fast. His approval is now sitting at about 36%, putting him amongst the lowest in US history. Oh, and by the way, his economic approval is now even lower than Biden's was, which is absolutely wild, considering his entire campaign was built on fixing the economy. Now, speaking of ending the war, there are reports about a 15-point US plan with demands for Iran and a counterplan from Iran with their own demands, since they've basically rejected it. These aren't official, more like leaks. And just taking a quick look at them, I'd say both plans sound pretty ridiculous. But to keep things fair without bias or spin, I'm gonna let AI break down both of the plans, give its blunt take on every point, and then come up with a plan that both sides might actually agree on. But before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and check out our Patreon at patreon.com/IAskAI. That's where AI gives its brutally honest, unfiltered, uncensored takes on Trump that I simply cannot post here on YouTube. All right, quick word from today's sponsor, and then we'll get into it. If you follow politics closely, you'll probably have those moments where you watch the news and think, okay, I'm pretty sure I know where this is heading. Now imagine actually being able to act on that instinct. That's what Kalshi is built for. Kalshi is a federally regulated US platform where people trade on the outcomes of real-world events, things like elections, economic reports, or major political decisions. Basically, every question becomes a market. Take this one for example. Who controls Congress after the 2026 midterms? You see 4 possible outcomes here. Let's say you think the most realistic scenario is Democrats taking the House while Republicans hold the Senate. If you put $100 into that position, you'd get roughly 252 contracts. If that outcome actually happens and the market settles at $1, those contracts would be worth about $252. And the interesting part is that you're not betting against the casino. You're trading against other people, looking at the exact same news and trying to predict what happens next. Kalshi is fully regulated in the United States, and millions of people are already using it to trade billions of dollars in event markets. So if you're that kind of person, this is basically a place where you can test your instincts. Go to kalshi.com/IAskAI and use the code IAskAI. You'll get $20 when you trade your first $20. Again, that's kalshi.com/IAskAI using the code IAskAI. The link's in the description and the pinned comment. All right, and welcome to the chat. Now first, I want to get it up to speed on both of the plans so that it can actually give a take. And once that's done, we'll jump into the first question. Now it's ready. Perfect. It has to be clear, straightforward, totally unbiased, no spin, no fluff, none of that. I'm going to begin with what's being called the US plan. 15 points, AI's take on each one, and here we go. The US 15-point plan is a victor's wish list handed to a country that hasn't actually surrendered. Here's each reported point and my honest read. Dismantle all nuclear capabilities. Unprecedented. No country has ever accepted this through negotiation. It's an opening bid designed to be walked back. The US is trying to lock in what bombs already achieved and make it permanent on paper. Commit to never pursue nuclear weapons. Iran already claims this via Khamenei's old fatwa. Redundant, but the US wants it in a binding legal document, not a religious ruling. Probably the easiest point for Iran to accept rhetorically, since they've always said they don't want the bomb. Zero uranium enrichment on Iranian soil. The most extreme demand on the list, violates the NPT's guarantee of peaceful nuclear rights. This is the point that kills any deal if the US actually insists on it as a final position. No country with an established enrichment program has ever been forced to zero it out. Transfer all enriched uranium to the IAEA. The most achievable point. It was done under the JCPOA. Iran's 450 kilograms of 60% enriched material is a genuine proliferation risk and the easiest concession for Tehran to spin domestically. The phased timeline language gives both sides room to maneuver. Shut down Natanz, Isfahan, Fordo. Many are already bombed. The US is trying to make military destruction permanent through legal agreement. Fordo was built into a mountain specifically to survive this exact scenario. Asking Iran to seal it is asking them to give up their insurance policy against the very thing that's happening to them right now. Abandon all proxy groups. Asking Iran to stop being Iran. Proxies are their entire regional strategy, their way of projecting power without a conventional military that can compete, even if agreed to, completely unverifiable. Money and weapons find ways. Keep the Strait of Hormuz open. The most urgent point: Iran's chokehold on 20% of global oil is what's actually forcing the US to the table. This is the one point where time pressure works against Washington, not Tehran. Limit missile program to self-defense. Iran has flatly refused. Missiles are their only real deterrent. The war itself proved they work. Self-defense only is a meaningless phrase every country hides behind. The vagueness on range and quantity caps is deliberate. Enhanced UN inspections. Reasonable in principle, the verification backbone of the whole plan. Without this, every other commitment is just words on paper. Workable if both sides actually want it to be. The remaining points haven't been fully disclosed, but reportedly covered diplomatic normalization, possible recognition of Israel, and a broader regional security framework. Given that not even the full 15 points have been officially published, some of this is educated reconstruction from leaks. Take it with appropriate salt. Okay, so in short, we want everything. Iran, are you hearing this? And then some. And as for this being some kind of victor's wish list, apparently Claude doesn't know that Trump has already won, does it? To be fair though, at the time that I'm recording this, Iran hasn't fully rejected the plan yet, but I'm almost sure that they're going to do this by the time that this goes live. It's just too unrealistic. I was about to say that this could at least be a starting point, maybe something the US could make concessions on, but yeah, Trump and concessions, Alright, well, we're only halfway through because Iran has its own plan, just as ridiculous but still worth breaking down. So, let's ask AI to do the same. Lay out Iran's plan and give its own take on each point. The Iran war is a f***ing mess. This is an energy crisis he manufactured from scratch, and he's literally easing sanctions on f***ing Russia. He invoked the deadliest attack on American soil in the 20th century as a punchline. That's 1 week. You've got a president who was photographed with Epstein repeatedly, and when the documents started dropping, his response was to play dumb and hope everyone moved on, because he's got a new war to hide behind. This was a sneak peek from our Patreon, where we actually posted 2 videos this week. You're going to find one where AI roasted Trump for his actions over the past week. You know, things like Iran, the plans around Karg Island, his decision to ease sanctions on Russia, his Oval Office meeting with Japan's Prime Minister, that whole Pearl Harbor joke, and more. And as a bonus, there's another video where I asked it about Epstein, and it went completely off the rails. So, if you want to see the full versions with the unfiltered, uncensored responses, be sure to go to our Patreon at patreon.com/IAskAI. Try it out for just 1 month, and I'm pretty sure that you're gonna love it. Again, that's patreon.com/IAskAI. Thanks for your support, and now let's get back to the video. All right, here we go. Here's what it said. Iran's demands read like a counter-fantasy, a wish list from a country acting like it's winning when it's getting bombed daily. Here's each reported condition and my honest read. Permanent end to the war, not a ceasefire. Iran's foreign minister said it explicitly. We don't ask for ceasefire. They want a full permanent termination of hostilities with binding guarantees it never happens again. Smart framing. The 12-day war ceasefire in 2025 collapsed, so Iran has a legitimate point that temporary deals are worthless. But demanding permanent and guaranteed in the Middle East is asking for something nobody can deliver. Binding security guarantees against future attacks. This is Iran's core demand. They want an ironclad commitment that the US and Israel will never strike again. The problem is obvious. Who enforces it? The UN? Russia? The same international system that watched this war start? No piece of paper stops a future president from doing what Trump just did. Reparations for war damages. Thousands dead, infrastructure destroyed, cities hit. Iran wants compensation. Legally, there's a case. Politically, zero chance. The US has never paid reparations for a war it initiated. Not Vietnam, not Iraq. This demand exists to be traded away for something else. Full control of the Strait of Hormuz with transit fees. The boldest demand. Iran wants to formalize what it's doing right now, charging $2 million per ship. This would fundamentally reshape global energy economics. The US will never accept this. It's Iran trying to turn a wartime tactic into a permanent revenue stream. No restrictions on missile program. A flat rejection of the US demand. Iran sees missiles as the one thing that actually worked. Non-negotiable for Tehran. Non-negotiable for Washington. This is the immovable object meeting the unstoppable force. Closure of all US bases in the Gulf. Iran has wanted this for decades. The war gives them an excuse to demand it formally. Completely unrealistic. Gulf states host those bases voluntarily and want them there now more than ever. Full sanctions relief. The one point where both sides actually overlap, since the US plan also offers this. The gap is over what Iran gives up to get it. You know, at first glance, this plan sounds like a leave us alone kind of thing, but it's basically just let us keep developing nuclear weapons without any real restrictions. And look, even if Iran is the victim here, the entire regime is built on war and conflict, and if they ever got a nuclear weapon, it could be even more dangerous than North Korea's. But let me know what you think about it all in the comments. If Iran had gotten nukes at some point, do you think that they would actually use them? Alright, last question. I want AI to take both of these unrealistic plans and come up with one that both sides could actually agree on. And let's see, here's the answer. A realistic deal lands somewhere in the painful middle. Iran accepts a permanent ban on enrichment above 5%, with all 60% enriched material shipped out under IAEA supervision. Natanz and Isfahan convert to monitored civilian research. Fordo gets sealed. That's the biggest concession Iran makes. Enhanced inspections with agreed limits on military site access. Iran keeps its missile program but accepts a verified cap on range, probably 2,000 kilometers, which is what they already claim as self-imposed. Proxy support gets addressed through vague language both sides can interpret however they want. Unenforceable but face-saving. The Strait of Hormuz reopens immediately and fully. In return, the US lifts all nuclear-related sanctions on a phased timeline tied to compliance, closes 1 or 2 minor regional installations as a symbolic gesture, and provides a UN Security Council resolution affirming Iran's territorial sovereignty. The closest thing to a no future attack guarantee that's actually achievable. No reparations, no Hormuz fees, no base closures, no regime change. Both sides hate it. That's how you know it might work. Yeah, but still sounds unrealistic to me. But let me know what you think in the comments down below about all 3 of these plans that you heard today, and how long that you think this war is actually going to last. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to see the unfiltered, uncensored AI takes on Trump, be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/IAskAI. After that, you should definitely watch this recent video where I asked 4 AIs to predict the outcome of the 2026 midterms. ChatGPT, Grok, DeepSeek, and Trump's AI on Truth Social. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to click on that video next, and I'll see you over there in just a moment.